Good morning from IADT. I'm Michelle and I'm the Schools Liaison Officer at the college, and I'm delighted to be joined this morning by four of our students who I'm going to invite to introduce themselves now.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm a third-year graphic design student at IADT.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a fourth year model making, now design for film student at IADT.
Hi, I'm Eve and I'm a third year fine arts student at IADT.
Hi, I'm Casper and I'm a second year interaction user experience design student at IADT.
Thanks very much. So we're recording this session this morning specifically for 5th and 6th year students who are studying art. So we're just going to be focusing on specific courses at IADT that we think are of most interest to students of art. We have got a broad range of undergraduate courses on offer at IADT, about 17 in total. We're just going to be focusing on 6 of those this morning, which are art, animation, design for film, graphic design, photography and visual media, and interaction and user experience design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite each of the students in turn to speak about their specific courses, and we'll also be including a session on a section specifically on portfolios, because we always get lots of questions about portfolios and people looking for advice and top tips. So I'll be showing you where to get more information on our website, and our students also, I expect, will have some suggestions and ideas for you as well. So maybe I'll come to Casper first. Maybe Casper, you'd like to tell us a little bit about your course.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So it is sounding very complicated as a course, but let me assure you, it's really not. So basically what interaction user experience design is, it's looking at the real world or people doing something, and maybe having a problem with something, and then just trying to use your skills of observation and sort of like design thinking to take the project through a whole process of trying to find the best solution for people. So let's say I think a good example would be ordering a pizza through an app or a website, right? You feel hungry and you're like, God, I want pizza. So you go onto the app, you search for your favorite toppings, you add it to the cart, and everything is kind of laid out in a process. And then some apps allow you to track it. I think Domino's has like an amazing pizza tracker. They're like, oh, the food is on the way now, get ready, it'll be there soon. So basically, user experience designers are behind designing this experience, right? So we would design like the functionality of the app and kind of think how it flows through each step and how do we make the things the most enjoyable to use. But again, it's not only digital. I think last year we did a project where we did some teaching tools for junior infants that were learning how to write cursive, and we had to make something tactile and physical that would just interest kids into learning, I guess, the boring thing of cursive. So I think I did like a box with like a cutout, and the lights were tracing in a sequence just to kind of guide the finger through a letter form. So there's a loads of potential to what you can do over the 4 years. Each module is slightly different, and you just get to try out many different things. But at the same time, it's not really packed. I think we do a maximum of 2 modules at once. One is theoretical, one is more practical, studio-based module. So it's really nice and focused, let's say 6 weeks to try one project, and then you move on to the next and on to the next. So it is a really, really interesting course where you can learn a lot.
Thanks very much, Casper. And of course, IUX is one of our newer courses, and we adapt our course all the time at IADT to match, I suppose, where the skills are required in the workplace as well. And interaction and user experience design is very much a new and evolving area of expertise in the workplace, and there's lots and lots of jobs in that area. So we'll come back to you shortly, Casper. Thanks very much. Caroline, I might come to you next, please.
Yeah, so just to remind you, I do graphic design here at IADT. It's formerly known as Visual Communications Design. It's a course all about trying to find the best way to communicate visually. We are a very multidisciplinary course. We get to do print work, we get to do design for the web, some animation, exhibition work, illustration, photography, screen printing. So you definitely come away with a large skill set, which you can apply going forward to any sort of area of design you like. Our teachers are very flexible with sort of catering to the students' interests. This year we're building our portfolios because we have a sections place in our year to go off and do internships. They're very much interested in getting us real world experience in our school. My favorite projects I've gotten to work on so far, last year we got to do build animations for music videos, which was really fun. And I'm also a bit of a nerd, so any sort of like book design project I really like. But it's a great course, and if you're interested in any sort of area of design, you can sort of shape the course to fit with what you're interested in. And you don't have to worry at all about kind of not being proficient in the technical side of the program because they teach you from the ground up. So it's a great course, and you should apply if you're interested.
And that's very interesting, Caroline. And I suppose of note to people that, you know, you don't have to have prior experience in any particular area of expertise, that everyone has the opportunity to learn from scratch on any of these courses, really. And Caroline, just before I move on, sometimes I know I've heard you speak about the range of different jobs and careers that people can go into with a degree in graphic design. Maybe say a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our course here is really good of sort of like building up your skills. So when you do leave here, you have options going forward. So obviously some people choose to go on and do a master's if that's what they're interested in, and they're well set up for that. But in terms of career, we have students going into like straight just design houses, which would be just straight photographic design. Some go into marketing. We have marketing communications. We have some go like working for private companies, NGOs. You can go in and do animation, book design. Some people do go into web design and join Casper and user experience design. But yeah, it's a great course to sort of like set you up for the future, and you kind of leave there being confident that like you can kind of move into different areas of sort of like the evolving job market, which we'll probably be going into, and like a more digital job market. So it's great.
Okay, so lots of options. So people shouldn't feel that necessarily their choice of undergraduate course is, you know, confining them in terms of where they want to go next. There's,
No,
you
for
know,
sure.
each of the courses really offers quite a range of opportunity after third level. Thanks, Caroline. Eve, I might come to you next.
Yeah, so my name's Eve, so I'm studying my third year in fine art. So fine art is basically like you kind of do a mix of things initially in first year. So you do painting, printmaking, sculpture, just to kind of see which one you'd prefer to get into. And then we actually have a partnership with IMA, the Irish Museum of Modern Art. So we get a studio space there for our second semester and first year, and we get to have an exhibition there at the end of the year, which is really great. And you kind of get great contacts through that way. So IADT is good like that. They kind of are linking you up with people, which might help you after you graduate. And then for second year, so you either go into 2D, which is printmaking, drawing, photography, all that kind of stuff, painting, which is the category I went into. And there's also 3D, which is the art sculpture, and then 4D, which is art film. So you kind of specialize in one of those. And then third year, I'm actually on Erasmus this year. So I'm in London for the year, in the University of Hertfordshire. So it's so great that you get to do some traveling while you're in your course as well. And it's a really big campus over here. So it's kind of like getting the best of both worlds, having the small campus at IADT. We're all quite close. There's only about 20 in our course, but it's normally 40 every other year. I think our year is a bit different. And over here, it's like a massive campus, and there's great opportunities here. And I think there's some people in my course who also went to Budapest and Finland, and I think there's someone going to Italy next term. So there's great opportunities for Erasmus and things like that as well. And yeah, so I'd say for the portfolio, definitely do the project day as well as submit your actual portfolio, because you can just get whichever marks are better and it'll help you get into IDT. So that's all I have to say.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Eve. And we're going to talk a little bit more about portfolios in a while. And yes, just to, I suppose to mention that Erasmus that Eve has described in terms of an opportunity to spend some of your degree abroad in elsewhere in Europe is available across all of our courses, and there are also work placement opportunities across all the courses as well. So Hannah, I might come to you next, please.
Hi, as I said earlier, I'm Hannah. I'm a fourth year model making student. Model making has actually been merged together with the course Design for Stage and Screen, so now it's Design for Film. When I did my course, we concentrated a lot on props, kind of 3D models, architectural models, product development, all kind of physical making of items. Because it's now designed for film, the course is more broad. It's kind of like an American system where you have a general kind of first and second year, and you don't decide what you're kind of like specialize in until your third year. So the course now, you get to do everything from character makeup to VFX to model making, set design, costume design, and all of the modules in the first few years kind of let you try out an element of each of these. So you don't have to have decided on what you'd like to do before you join the course. I found that really helpful because I knew a few people in my course, they've kind of either swapped over, or we've had someone who moved from design for stage and screen into model making. And this new design for film course allows people to try a bit of everything before they have to decide what element they would like to specialize in. I found that the lectures are all very helpful. They are all either working in the industry still currently and working again then part-time or still full-time with the college. So they have really up-to-date knowledge of what is required either in the film industry or the game industry, or what are the latest materials used, and they're able to then cater that within the course. Constantly I'm getting emails from lecturers for, oh, there's this new material, new product that is being used, we might do a demo on this, or we might just try it out one day after college. I know that the course, each of the modules, they kind of build up on the previous year's ones. So in first year you might have a simple kind of making an object move module, and then as the years progress you'll have to like do 2 different mechanical movements, or you might have to do a little bit of electronics, and you get to kind of really look into and build up on your previous skills that you've learned. Yeah, out of this course, people can go into anything from working on movie sets, working in video games, working in theatre, working in film, working in an architecture firm. It's a very broad course, which kind of sets you up for a lot of different careers. And even for doing a master's, I know IADT does offer some, such as a 3D modeling one.
That's fantastic, Hannah, and I'll come back to you now in a few minutes when we're talking more about all things portfolio. I did say at the outset I was going to mention, I suppose, 6 of the courses that I think might be of particular interest for people studying art. So the 2 that we haven't mentioned so far. One is animation. So animation is a really popular course at IADT. We've been running it for a long time. The animation industry in Ireland is absolutely booming, and elsewhere. So our animation students come in and progress right from first to fourth year. Your first year is very much stripped back to basics. It's back to pencil and paper. And hopefully maybe some of you might come visit our campus at some stage, and you'll be able to see this progression actually when you come visit the studios. And then you'll see by fourth year, it's really quite all digitalized at that point as well. Our graduates, as you'll see, hopefully you'll follow us on social media and you'll be able to see that our graduates from a number of our courses are winning awards in their specialist fields all of the time, both on the national and international stage. And also, if you want to view any of our graduate work, you can do so. There's a repository for our graduate exhibition on the website as well. So that's kind of a nice thing to do, just to give you a flavour of the kind of work that our students produce. The last course, that specific course that we're going to mention today, is photography. So photography and visual media. So sometimes photography as an art form is maybe underappreciated now, because we all have cameras on our phones. People are taking photographs all of the time. But not only is photography a wonderful art form in itself, but it also leads to lots of different opportunities and lots of different walks of life. So if you consider from the time you got up this morning to the time you go to bed tonight, everywhere where you experience photography, be that online, be it in publications, be it on billboards, in all sorts of visual media, that their photography is really very, very central to our day-to-day lives. For this and for any of our other courses, you can go onto the course pages and you can see here, for instance, it's what's called a spotlight session. These are detailed webinars which really allow you to do sort of a deep dive in terms of what the course content is. You'll see on those the lecturers from each of the courses are talking about the courses, and there's also students on those panels as well. And again, on this page in particular, you can see examples of the students' work. And again, as I say, this broader exhibition right across all of our film art and creative technology courses is available to view on our website. So I think what we'll do now is we'll maybe do a section on portfolios, because I know for those of you, well, in both fifth and sixth year, it's really relevant. One thing I will say is, well, we have a specific page here. Let me show you this. So you look under Study at IADT, and this is your one-stop shop for all things portfolio. So what you will find in here is, Eve alluded to it slightly earlier, there are a few different options that we just really like to highlight to you. And I'm going to come back to the students now in a moment just to get their personal views in terms of sort of top tips and advice that they'd have for you. But just to say, each year, we invite you to submit your portfolio to us. Usually the digital portfolio platform opens just before Christmas and it closes mid to late March. Again, check our website specifically for those dates. So many of you will already have substantial portfolios you've been working on. And that's really, I suppose, the most usual and popular route. I would highly recommend that you read this particular document, the portfolio guidelines document, in detail to make sure that from a procedural point of view that you are, I suppose, submitting what is specifically being asked for. The other couple of things to consider is that we run what's called a project day. So during February midterm, we invite applicants to come and participate in a project day. So you'll come on campus and you will be set specific tasks to do, and your work then will be marked out of 600 points in the same way as a portfolio would be. And you then, if you do both that and a portfolio, you can then, the higher of those 2 points is what will be taken into account. You don't have to do both, but many people opt to do both. The other thing that we always say to people is that, you know, it's many of you might choose to take a year after you're leaving cert, go to an FE college and do a portfolio course and then apply to IADT. Or in fact, you might do both. You might apply the year you're in sixth year and also and then have it, I suppose, backed both ways. You can also plan that if you don't get in that particular year, you can go to your FE college, do your year portfolio there. And I know some of the people on the panel today went to FE colleges before coming to us. Many of our students do that, and they often say to me that they never look back, that was time well spent, and also the lecturers will often say that those particular students do very well as well. Lots more information for you to delve into here. There is you know, recorded material, which I would very much recommend that you take time, even, you know, if you don't want to take separate time out of your busy schedule, maybe when you're sitting down having your dinner or your lunch someday, have this going in the background. Lots of information for you there. The portfolio masterclass, panel discussion. So lots to choose from there. And we also invite, obviously, specific questions at any stage over our website. You can see we have a chat function here on our website. You can pop us questions on there, or you can email us info@iadt.ie. So I'm going to come back to the students now and really just very interested to hear your views, any top tips that you would have for students who are applying specifically in the areas of portfolios. So Casper, I might come to you first.
Yeah, sure. So I guess the main thing we look for like in portfolios, or I try to put in my portfolio, was just to show what sort of a thinker and problem solver I am, what sort of a person am I, so don't worry if you don't have all of the equipment in the world or like all of the technical knowledge, because as Caroline said, the course is structured to build you from the ground up. But what they want to see in a portfolio is potential, right? So don't be afraid to try out different things, but also be selective with your work. So I think, I often hear lecturers say on those talks that they don't want a portfolio where it's like a scrapbook of absolutely everything you've done. Just have some sort of like a curated selection, some sort of like a story maybe, going through the whole portfolio. Make sure everything is clearly labeled, so that they are not looking and trying to link like this image with this text. Just make sure everything is nicely presented. And I guess, also don't fall into the pitfall of everything having to be like absolutely perfect. We all know you're just in secondary school, and even at third level, you're still learning, you're exploring different things. So it doesn't need to be perfect, but it just needs to be at a certain standard that you're happy with. But also including work in progress is okay. I guess what else? Just maybe, if you're applying for some sort of like those design courses like graphic design or interaction design, it might be worth considering maybe focusing on one thing and studying it from many different angles, maybe do some sketches, maybe do some photography studies, because that all shows like the way you think. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're applying for interaction design, but you like photography, you cannot include few pictures that are relevant to what you're trying to say in your portfolio. I think I've done that in my portfolio. But then just to touch on the project day, I've also done a project day on top of my portfolio, and it was helpful in a way because project days usually have a brief. So whereas portfolio is this like massive open thing where you can show whatever you want, a project day is slightly more guided. There are like some formats you can follow to just help you get kickstarted. And what's really helpful is you can also include your project day work. If you take it further, you can include it in your portfolio. So it might be just a nice booster to do, and definitely something worth considering. And yeah, my only piece of advice would be just start now, try to get a story going and see where you land, because you would be amazed at how much you can do in a short time. It seems like a short time, but if you just do a bit at a time and take small steps, it's really doable.
Thanks, Casper. Caroline, any thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm one of the students who came in through a further education college, and I found it very helpful. It was obviously slightly more relaxing than doing it at the same time as the Leaving Cert, but it was definitely, I think, like everyone, putting together a portfolio is a bit stressful and it can be a bit of a head wreck. But my main advice, like, I think everyone, when putting it together, like, you kind of have the feeling like, oh, my drawing skills aren't good enough, this isn't as good as my mates or whatever. But as Casper said, like, they're not expecting perfection from you, but what they really want to see is sort of that you're a hard worker, and especially that you have interest in the subject you're applying for. I really can't stress enough like the importance of sort of like notebooks and showing all that prep work. So obviously for your main portfolio, like those are your finished pieces, but being able to like illustrate the work that's gone into that. So like I made sure to include like a lot of like secondary research in mine from like artists I really liked and sort of how they inspired the work I did. And I would do like prep sketches and stuff before I did the final one, just showing that like I had a passion for it. I was super interested in it. And in regards to sort of concerns sort of about technical skill, even though I applied for graphic design and art at IADT, which you can apply for multiple subjects and use the same portfolio, but mine was majority fine art because that just happened to be the further education course I was in was for an art portfolio, so I had a lot of life drawing in it and stuff. But I think for graphic design, they were able to, even though it was fine art, they could ascertain from sort of like notebooks and the work I was doing and exploring like the same subject in multiple ways, that like kind of like I had a heart, like I had a working process. I was very like passionate. I was detail oriented. So sort of even though what you might be putting in might not directly relate to your course, you still think about like what it's saying about you at the end of the day that way. And yeah, that's just my little tip.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Caroline. Eve, am I coming to you next?
Yeah, so I also did a portfolio course. So I had the full year completely relaxed to get all my work in order. But I remember thinking when I was in sixth year as well, when I wanted to, the thought of idea of going to art college, I was just baffled by what even goes into a portfolio, and the whole thing just seemed really stressful. And I thought I would have to put in like finished, like excellent pieces. But you're going to art college for like 3 or 4 years, so you basically don't need to have everything perfect. You should put in things that are not like very skilled. Like as long as you show that you've got loads of work and you pick a theme and you follow that theme true and you do loads of work for that, I think that's really good, because you don't need to put in all these perfectly curated, finished pieces, because that's not what they're looking for. They're kind of looking for someone who's going to follow a project through and like experiment and try a bunch of different things, because that's kind of what our college is anyway. So I'd say definitely don't be too stressed over it, and just kind of put in as much work as you can, and even things that aren't finished, put them in as well, because it'll just like make your portfolio even bigger and you'll have more of a chance.
Thanks, Eve. Anna, any thoughts?
I would just say exactly like what Eve was saying, to kind of look at it and put just one topic and think of it different ways. I know even in my, like in just general modules, you'll be given like a brief or something and you have to come up with multiple ideas for it, because the lectures might not like one idea that you have. So you need to be able to just find an object and then either mash that object with another one, or look in a different light, take it apart, break it apart. It's just show that you have the versatility to be able to think outside the box, but also that you can stick to something and do it in multiple different ways. It doesn't matter if you're not amazing at using oil pastels or paint or something, just try different mediums, and it shows a lot of flexibility in your kind of art style.
That's fantastic. Thank you all. And it's lovely to get so many different perspectives on it, and to hear you talk about, different routes that you have each taken. So I think we'll leave it at that for today. Just to say to anyone who is watching this, I suppose next steps. Each of our course pages, as I say, on the website, has a wealth of information, more recorded resources for you to get more detailed information. Follow us on social media, ask us any questions over our live chat, and register for upcoming events. So thanks for watching today, and we hope to hear from you soon.